Amazing delivery reveals surprising billionaire CEO, her life transformed in just 30 days. Lucy Thompson stood in the bright afternoon sun, clutching her grocery delivery receipt as she read the name that sent a chill down her spine, Joanne Richards. It felt like stepping into a world she barely understood, one littered with the whispers of others who admired the billionaire CEO. In her modest home in suburban Ohio, Lucy balanced the daily grind of work and motherhood, battling financial strain that tightened around her like a noose. She was a hardworking single mother but lacked the resources to chase after the dreams that dangled just out of reach. The idea of meeting Joanne was both thrilling and nerve-wracking, like an invitation to a party where she feared she wouldn't belong. As she drove to Joanne's upscale neighborhood, Lucy's mind buzzed with insecurities. Would the billionaire even acknowledge her struggles? What would it be like to discuss her world with someone who seemingly had it all? For Lucy, every day felt like a balancing act: long hours at the local grocery store, endless after-school activities for her spirited daughter Emily, and the relentless worry of how far a paycheck would stretch. Would she end up overselling herself, becoming just another nobody in Joanne's world? Upon arrival, Lucy took a deep breath, trying to shake the simmering unease that gripped her. Their conversation began easily enough: shared stories of family, sacrifice, and ambition. Lucy's voice cracked as she spoke of her hopes for Emily. Would it even matter if she succeeded at this corporate gig? Her heart surged with fear as she confided, "I'm just a grocery store clerk. What do I know about business?" Joanne offered her a chance to take on a mentorship role at her corporate headquarters, a stunning opportunity that thrust Lucy into an overwhelming sense of ambition and dread. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Enveloped in the buzz of the corporate world, Lucy wrestled with self-doubt, the whispers of her colleagues echoing in her mind. What does she know? She's an outsider. Every meeting made her stomach churn, the sharp suits and polished confidence felt foreign. She fought against rising panic, reminded that all she wanted was to create a better life for Emily. She had to believe she belonged, yet every success felt bittersweet against the backdrop of loneliness. The follow-up conversations revealed Joanne's own struggles with prejudice and isolation, and Lucy's heart ached with empathy. They were more alike than she'd ever imagined, and that realization only fueled her resolve. But as days turned into weeks, Emily's voice began to echo louder in Lucy's mind, filled with frustration over her mother's growing absence. "You're always busy, Mom. Don't you care about me anymore?" The weight of that accusation thudded against her chest, as doubt seeped in. Was she chasing a dream only to risk losing her daughter? As the 30 days approached, Lucy stood at a monstrous crossroads, grappling with the relentless tug of ambition and the desperate need for family loyalty. The stakes felt higher than ever as she questioned whether this path would be worth the distance growing between her and Emily. Could she prove to them both that dreams could intertwine without severing the bonds of love? The clock was ticking, anxiety coiling tighter like a spring. Determination swirled within Lucy as she entered the sleek, glass-clad skyscraper that doubled as Joanne's corporate headquarters. She could feel the pulse of ambition echoing through the gleaming hallways, yet it collided painfully with the nagging worry of her daughter's disappointment. Stepping away from her groceries, she was now in a world that judged by accomplishments. Every click of her heels on marble was a countdown to a decision that would impact her entire family. Her initial days at the office were a tempest of emotions. Joanne had positioned her within the marketing team, a place Lucy never envisioned herself. Responsibilities piled high, and so did her anxiety. Meetings were opportunities to contribute, yet each one felt like another layer of intimidation was added. There she was, seated next to experienced professionals who traded jargon like old friends. Overwhelmed by her nervousness, Lucy often fumbled through her thoughts during discussions, questioning her insights. The deep-rooted belief that she was an imposter gnawed at her. "Why did I think I could do this?" she muttered during her lunch breaks, staring at her sandwich, half-eaten. Conversations with Joanne blossomed into more than corporate strategy, they became glimpses of hope. Joanne recognized Lucy's apprehension and often took the time to highlight moments of success, small wins that Lucy was blind to see. "You have a unique perspective," Joanne would say, "that's your strength." Each praise was a double-edged sword, lifting her spirit while increasing the fear of expectation. But Emily's voice lingered. The more immersed Lucy became at work, the more she noticed her daughter withdrawing. Emily would arrive home from school to find her mother absent in both body and spirit. "You missed my performance." Again. The accusation echoed through Lucy's mind, forcing her to confront the sacrifice that living out her dream appeared to require. Suddenly, Lucy found herself at a team brainstorming session when the facilitator asked for innovative ideas on a new marketing campaign. The familiar panic flared, but this time a fierce determination surged. What ideas could a grocery store clerk offer? She wondered, but something clicked. In that moment, her life experiences culminated into a sharp insight. She rose, image of uncertainty replaced by determined resolve. What if we create a community outreach program that showcases local families? The room turned to her, eyes widening in surprise before nodding in agreement. As she spoke, Lucy realized she was articulating her own struggles and triumphs, the resilience of hardworking parents and the stories behind everyday choices. This was her domain, here, she mattered. Hesitance shifted into clarity, intimidating shadows receding. As the presentation came to a close, applause broke out, an empowering sound that shook off lingering doubts. Still, on the way home, the fleeting glory of acceptance was replaced by the hollow fear of consequences. Could one presentation alter the growing distance between her and Emily? That night, Lucy couldn't shake the image of her daughter sitting alone, surrounded by the evidence of her neglect. Could she weave both worlds together, the corporate aspirations and her role as a mother? An exciting yet frightening thought blossomed in her mind. What if she could champion the stories like hers, while being the mother that Emily deserved? A new resolve solidified within her as she set a plan into motion. The next day, Lucy would take the bold step of inviting Emily into her world, introducing her to the corporate side of life, while sharing her dreams. The desire to bring her daughter alongside in this journey kindled hope. Yet as Lucy drifted into sleep, uncertainty loomed large over her enthusiasm. Would Emily even want to be part of it? In the dim light of her bedroom, the shadows flickered with doubt as Lucy faded into sleep. Her identity as a businesswoman and mother began to collide. Would she rise to meet the challenge, or would she continue to lose pieces of herself? The moment of truth approached, one that could not be postponed any longer. The following morning dawned with a sense of urgency that electrified Lucy's veins. She had spent the night drafting a plan, refining how to bridge her dual roles as a passionate marketer and a devoted mother. This wasn't just about the corporate world, it was about reclaiming a part of her life that had quietly slipped away. As she brewed her morning coffee, the aroma wrapped around her like a protective cloak, fueling her resolve. Lucy envisioned the scene, the vibrant, bustling corporate environment paired with a glowing Emily, curious and eager. She imagined them walking through the glass doors together, the sound of applause from her presentation still ringing in her ears. It was thrilling and terrifying, a kaleidoscope of potential. At breakfast, Lucy made her move. "Emily," she began, her voice steady, "I want to share something with you about my job." She watched her daughter's expression shift from disinterest to intrigue. Emily paused, spoon hovering over her cereal. "Really? Like what?" Taking a deep breath, Lucy took a chance. "I think you'd find the marketing work I do fascinating. It's more than just numbers and campaigns. It's about telling stories, and I want to show you how it's done." The words flowed with newfound excitement. She was selling not just a job, but a slice of her identity. Emily, intrigued, played with her strawberry as she considered the invitation. "Can we, see how all of it works together?" Lucy's heart raced. This was an opportunity for connection, a way to fill the gap that had formed between them. "Yes. I want you to see what it's like, and maybe even contribute your own ideas." The genuine smile that blossomed on Emily's face reignited a warm glow in Lucy's spirit. That day at the office felt different. With Emily set to join her for an after-school visit, Lucy navigated the tasks ahead with fresh energy. She stood a little taller, spoke a little louder, and began volunteering for more responsibilities in meetings. Each contribution felt like a bridge, uniting her personal and professional identities. When Emily finally arrived at the office, her eyes widened in awe at the towering skyscraper and the bustling activity within. Presentation screens lit up with vibrant graphs and strategic diagrams, which intrigued the teenager. Lucy felt a sense of accomplishment swell. She was showcasing more than her career, she was presenting a life lesson. As the two walked down the hall, heading to Lucy's workspace, she pointed out colleagues and explained their roles. "See that team?" she said, gesturing towards a group engaged in animated discussion. "They're dreaming up a product launch." Emily's interest peaked, and she leaned in, listening intently. However, as the afternoon progressed, reality began to sink in. Emily watched her mother as she slipped back into the corporate rhythm. The ease with which Lucy immersed herself into work momentarily overshadowed the fragile time they had together. Their conversations felt ritualistic, like Lucy was back in the realm of professionals rather than enjoying a moment with her daughter. "Mom, can we talk?" Emily interjected, cutting through the corporate chatter. Her voice trembled slightly, revealing a depth that Lucy hadn't anticipated. Fear gripped Lucy. She feared the disappointment that had lingered in the back of her mind would manifest into something greater. "Of course, sweetie," she replied, sensing a crucial moment unfurling before her. "Are you still my mom? Or are you just a marketer now?" The question hung in the air, heavy with emotion and expectation. Lucy faltered, caught off guard. For every advancement she made in her career, she had unknowingly drifted further from the person Emily needed her to be. The shadows of doubt returned, more sinister this time. "I'm trying to be both," Lucy whispered, grappling with the truth. In that instant, she realized that the lives she was cultivating of a professional ambition and a nurturing mother were not merely coexisting, they were in conflict. She knew now more than ever that this was not just about introducing her daughter into her world. It was about redefining who they were together amid the rising tides of their changing identities. As Lucy looked into her daughter's eyes, she understood that this moment marked the beginning of a deeper journey. Lucy took a deep, calming breath, bracing herself for a conversation that would shape their future. Would she dare to unveil her vulnerabilities, to show Emily the woman she had become, while also expressing the struggle to balance both worlds? The moment of revelation had arrived, and Lucy felt the weight of truth settle around her. Lucy felt the weight of her daughter's question compressing the air around her. A tempest of thoughts surged within her mind, each one battling for dominance. How could she explain the conflict of interests that had taken root in her heart without jeopardizing the bond she shared with Emily? She had always believed that determination and hard work would pave the way for her dreams, but now she saw the cracks in that belief. "Sweetie," she began, her voice soft yet searching for conviction, "being a mom and having a career doesn't mean I love you any less. It's important for me to show you that pursuing your passions is just as vital as nurturing relationships." Emily's brow furrowed, her previous excitement dulled by the gravity of the moment. "But it feels like your passion is the job, not me." Lucy felt the sting of those words. She could provide a list of achievements and accolades, a parade of professional successes, but none of it mattered in the face of her daughter's heartache. The realization hit hard. Her career was a part of her, yes, but it wasn't the whole story. Brandishing ambition without balance had distanced her from the very person she cherished most. What if I showed you how marketing, and everything I do, is really about understanding people? She proposed, fighting for Emily's interest again, determined to draw her back into the conversation. Every campaign we create is like a story that connects lives, including ours. We can work on this together, as partners. Emily's eyes sparkled slightly at the thought, though skepticism lingered. You really want me to help? Yes. I want us to create something meaningful, a project that reflects both of us, Lucy replied, her heart racing as she contemplated a new path. If her professional life could serve as a team-building exercise between them, then perhaps it could heal their growing divide. The enthusiasm began to pulse in Emily's expression again. What could we create? That question sparked an idea in Lucy's mind, illuminating an avenue she hadn't previously explored. They could start by building a grassroots marketing plan aimed at something close to their hearts, maybe creating awareness for a local shelter that needed support. It would serve the dual purpose of connecting Lucy's expertise in marketing with Emily's burgeoning passion for social issues. In the days that followed, Lucy committed herself not only to her responsibilities at work but also to involving Emily in brainstorming sessions. Together, they scoured for statistics, devised creative ideas, and mapped out strategies. Lucy's colleagues became mentors, enriching the experience for both. And as the evenings turned into brainstorming marathons, she felt a shift within herself. This was the fusion she craved, a beautiful synthesis of her worlds. Yet behind the exhilaration loomed the specter of doubt. Was she truly capable of balancing this new venture with the ever-demanding corporate sphere? Would her efforts be enough to mend the delicate thread they were weaving together? One late evening, they finalized their pitch for submission to a local grant, and Lucy felt proud of what they had created. But as Emily celebrated, Lucy's thoughts turned inward. She questioned if she could maintain this new focus while flourishing professionally. A storm of anxiety brewed just beneath her surface. Emily, she said, feigning confidence. Are you ready for the world to see what we've built? More than ready. This is going to be amazing. Emily chirped, unaware of the shift in Lucy's demeanor. In that moment, Lucy vowed to not just showcase their project but to also harness it as a catalyst for defining her own success. It wasn't enough to simply blend the two roles, she needed to confront the edges of her own sanity and health. As they submitted their plan, Lucy's heart raced not just from anticipation but from the dawning realization of how intertwined their journey had become. She was poised to confront her dual realities, to challenge the status quo, and perhaps redefine what it meant to step into her own power as both a mother and an ambitious professional. The storm clouds of her fears began to scatter as the untapped potential sparkled before her. What happens next? She wondered, a thought layered with both dread and exhilaration. But an email pinged into her inbox, disrupting her tender moment. The subject header read, "Important update on your marketing proposal." And with that single notification, Lucy felt the dance between possibility and uncertainty take another compelling turn. Lucy's heart raced as she clicked open the email, anticipation colliding with anxiety. The screen illuminated the words that held her future in suspense. As she started to read, the gravity of what was conveyed began to settle in. Her proposal had been selected for further review, a step closer to receiving the grant. Yet, while excitement should have overflowed, an unsettling whirlwind brewed inside her. Acknowledge your win, she reminded herself, but the celebration felt muted. The implications of this success weighed heavily on her mind, transforming her exhilaration into trepidation. What if they approved her project? Would she be able to handle the responsibilities that came with it? How could she justify pouring even more time into work without sacrificing precious moments with Emily? "Mom, what did it say?" Emily asked, her voice slicing through Lucy's momentary reverie. "It's a positive step, but we still have a ways to go. They want to review it further," she replied, her voice a blend of cautious optimism and veiled apprehension. "Is that good?" "Very good," Lucy affirmed, but inside she questioned the cost. Given her recent confession to Emily about balancing work and motherhood, would success in one realm only exacerbate her struggles in the other? Days turned into a blur of meetings and frantic planning. The corporate demands that had once consumed her no longer felt solely personal, they began to intertwine with Emily's aspirations. Lucy's dual responsibilities sharpened her focus, instilling in her a newfound resilience. Each late-night conference call coincided with moments spent huddled with Emily over notebooks, sketching out ideas and logos. They were building something real together, yet Lucy couldn't shake the tightness in her chest. Just as projects began to align, she received an unanticipated phone call. "Lucy, we need you to present the proposal next week at the regional board meeting. It's your chance to get the funding across the finish line," Jason, her boss, urged. An opportunity pulsed with potential yet wrapped in pressure threatened to choke her. "Of course, I'll prepare," she managed to respond while feeling the shifting sand beneath her. Would the very act of stepping into the spotlight rob her of the time she had promised to prioritize with Emily? Then came Friday, when Lucy and Emily gathered in their usual nook at the kitchen table. The light glowed softly around them, illuminating a chaotic mix of notes, sketches, and coffee cups. Lucy smiled at the hastily scribbled plans, a mixture of their ideas and vibrant strokes of Emily's creativity. For a moment, it felt as though the storm outside had quieted into a delicate drizzle. "Do you think people will get the message we're trying to send?" Emily asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "They will if we communicate it passionately together," Lucy encouraged, feeling the fire of collaboration spark. But then an unsettling thought pierced her optimism. What did success mean if it came at the expense of the connection she was forging? Lucy's internal battle weighed on her as they dismantled their work for the night. Each draft, every discussion felt like an intricate dance between driving toward success and nurturing Emily's vibrant spirit. That evening, as Lucy corrected drafts for the presentation, her phone pinged again, a reminder from work summoning her to attend a networking event later that week. A chance to shine among industry leaders. Excited anticipation overshadowed by dread washed over her. The event clashed with their scheduled pitch preparation, a defining moment she could not afford to miscalculate. In the chaos of thoughts, she grabbed a pen and began to write. What were her intentions, and where did her priorities lie? Was the career she was perpetually feeding worth the potential alienation of her own daughter? As she scribbled furiously, Lucy sensed she was on the cusp of a crucial realization. The time had come to make a choice. The world had always told her to pursue excellence, but wasn't it time she chased balance instead? Uncertain, but resolute, she sealed her thoughts with one promise to herself: before allowing momentous opportunities to drive the narrative, she would ensure to align them with what truly mattered. With everything spiraling into focus, Lucy closed her notebook, taking a deep breath. The clarity she needed hung tantalizingly above her, but the final decision remained shrouded in uncertainty. What would she choose? Just then, a second email notification landed in her inbox, a message from Jason titled, "Presentation Details, Regional Meeting." It was a reminder of the choice that would soon demand her attention, thrusting her into the heart of a decision she had long grappled with. Lucy felt the pull of the world around her shift again, and with each passing moment, the signals began to converge, hinting that the answers were closer than she had thought. The morning dawned hazy, mirroring the ambiguity clouding Lucy's thoughts. The email from Jason loomed in her mind, its subject line a persistent whisper urging her to act. Was this the moment she had been waiting for, or was it a trap that would ensnare her in obligations she wasn't ready to shoulder? Seated at her kitchen table, a fortified fortress of makeshift inspiration, she surveyed the clutter of papers. With Emily off at school, silence enveloped her, allowing her to explore the thoughts simmering just beneath the surface. The untouched coffee in front of her mirrored her state, a mixture of cold clarity and warm resolve. She picked up the nearest sheet, a draft of her presentation. The bullet points blurred together, each phrase echoing her deepest dread: what if I fail? Failing was the darkest possibility that crept under her skin, whispering the reasons why she shouldn't even attempt to excel in her career. But another voice countered, "What if you fly?" Determined to confront the inner turmoil, Lucy began to jot down affirmations, a keen response to the roller coaster of her emotions. She hadn't fought her way through that initial application process and beyond to cower now. Each solved problem, every late-night effort spent by her side bolstered her growing perception of capability. She could meet this challenge on her terms. The clamor of the outside world began to seep in as the clock ticked louder against the walls of her determination. The networking event crept closer, and with it the impending presentation. Catching herself ruminating on external stresses again, she pushed away from the table and took a moment to breathe. This was about more than just the approval of others, this was her journey, an extension of herself woven deep into Emily's creative aspirations. Impulsively, she pulled out her phone to draft a quick message to Emily's teacher. A simple request: "Can I bring Emily to the presentation? It's important for her to see what collaboration looks like." The hesitation tethered her briefly. Would she be crossing a boundary? But as she hit send, the weight lightened, pushing back against the silence that suffocated her. Yet as time ticked forward, uncertainty loomed larger. When Lucy glanced at the event's details, midway through her breaking through moment, she noticed something: a guest speaker listed who valued work-life balance above all, a billionaire entrepreneur renowned for balancing a demanding career with family life. Could that be a sign? New resolve washed over her, colliding with a fear that caused mockery within her own accomplishments. What qualifications did she have against someone at such a high echelon, especially when their combination of drive and focus had seemingly governed the very success she craved? And yet the duality of this problem became an opportunity, a moment to redefine her own narrative against the backdrop of someone whose principles she could resonate with. The decision crystallized slowly, coursing through her veins. She would attend the networking event, yes, but on her terms. She aimed to extract knowledge, insights, and strategies, not let them define her. She'd confront this powerhouse and ask about their balance. After all, who better to teach her about harmonizing ambition with motherhood than someone who had traversed that very path? Lucy stepped back to the kitchen, eyeing the scattered remnants of their collaborative work. Was achieving her dreams synonymous with sacrificing everything? The force that coiled in her chest ignited a fresh fervor to communicate her perspectives truthfully at the meeting, with Jason, and perhaps even with Emily's teacher if the moment arose. In the days leading to her presentation, every effort was infused with intention. As they crafted a visual aid, she and Emily sat side by side, filled with laughter and light. Each brush of color symbolized not just their project, but the thread of their connection, a reminder that their dreams could intertwine without smothering one another. But nearing the deadline, as Lucy prepared for the event, doubt clawed back in. Would her twist on nearly everything they had crafted together sabotage her relationship with Emily? Was she chasing balance, or simply postponing conflict? As she wrapped preparations the night before, a final email pinged into her inbox, bold and uninvited. Important changes to board meeting agenda. What had shifted overnight? She opened it with a mixture of curiosity and dread. Her heart raced at the cryptic outline. As each detail unfolded, a dire realization gripped her: everything was about to change drastically. But change for whom? Was this upheaval another challenge meant to reaffirm her balance, or merely an obstacle destined to propel her deeper into chaos? Time felt suspended as Lucy grappled with the implications. What possible foundation could remain amid such uncertainty? This was no longer merely about her choices, it was about choices that could affect Emily too. The weight grew heavier, and just as she felt she might falter, a new determination flickered within her. The time had come not just to confront her choices, but to embrace the essence of her identity beyond titles or accolades. Lucy's heart hung in the balance, the next step requiring more courage than ever before. What awaited her at that meeting? Would she discover not just the clarity of her path, but perhaps the audacity to claim her voice unapologetically? The moment raced closer, demanding an answer. The evening air was thick with anticipation as Lucy prepared for the turmoil to unfold at the board meeting. Each tick of the clock echoed like a countdown, heightening her urgency. What had seemed like a straightforward presentation now felt like a looming ambush, a pivotal moment that could redefine her aspirations. Amid the clutter of the workspace, a nebulous fog swirled around her thoughts. The email hung heavy, an unclear indication of shifting agendas that could affect everything she had worked for. Could the stakes be higher? The hints dropped like breadcrumbs suggested change was on the horizon, but it was unclear whether it was for the better. Time to step out of the shadows of uncertainty. If things were to shift, she wanted to be at the center of it, shaping her path with purpose. As she donned her blazer, a protective shield, Lucy felt her resolve solidifying. She was no longer just a participant, she was a player on the board, ready to strategize. The thought provided a jolt of motivation. She wasn't merely presenting her project, she was asserting her presence. The vision she had nurtured alongside Emily was hers to defend, and whatever was about to be revealed would not be a cause for retreat. Her phone buzzed, a text from Emily's teacher with a warm, encouraging message about bringing Emily to the meeting. Even in such chaotic moments, Lucy found solace in the idea of sharing this experience with her daughter. It represented a beacon of motherhood intertwined with ambition, a concept she was desperately trying to materialize. At that moment of reflection, she recognized a deeper truth, that she had the power to shape this narrative. The uncertainties swirling around the meeting were out of her control, but her reaction was not. Instead of succumbing to her doubts, she would lay her foundations in conviction. This realization surged through her: she would transform this moment into an example of strength both for herself and Emily. The drive to the office was a blur. City lights flickered like aspirations, while the faces of strangers mirrored her internal chaos. A million questions battled within her mind. Each intersection forced her to wrestle with apathy and determination, battling not just her fear but a burgeoning thirst for empowerment. Turning into the office parking lot, Lucy took a deep breath. She was not here to seek approval, she was here to claim her space. As she stepped out of the car, the familiar scent of industry infused her with a sense of purpose, her ambitions, her struggles, and her journey coalescing in a tangible energy. With each step toward the building, her past challenges ignited a fierce sense of identity. Failure had not been her end, it had been the crucible that forged her resilience. As she entered the conference room, the buzz of murmured conversations enveloped her, but Lucy felt surprisingly calm. She anchored herself in the knowledge that she had done the work necessary to shine. But the moment she saw the guest speaker at the head of the table, her heart skipped a beat. The billionaire who had once seemed an unreachable figure was now only a few feet away. Recognition flickered in the air as eyes turned toward the screen displaying the agenda. The once cryptic email now held clarity and sharp edges. There was a welcome focus on ambitious projects, outlining opportunities for collaboration across departments. But her eyes were fixated on the speaker, poised with a remarkable blend of charisma and authority. His presence pulsated with the promise of knowledge. And then, it struck her. This was not merely about answering questions. No, this was a moment to engage, to bring the essence of her journey front and center. Lucy knew she needed to challenge the norms that had shackled professional narratives, both for herself and others in her position. With an unexpected surge of confidence, she raised her hand, eyes locked on the entrepreneur. The room quieted, the uncertainty of her own voice drowned out by the anticipation of the audience. The balance between ambition and family is often portrayed as an impossible feat. I'd love to hear your thoughts on pursuing success while ensuring personal connections remain intact. Can true balance exist? As her voice rang in the stillness, she felt the vibrations of the question resonating not just from her lips but deeply inside her. It was the question that had loomed in her mind since Jason's email, an inquiry that bridged her aspirations and the realities of motherhood. Everything was at stake, yet in that moment, clarity prevailed. The shift was palpable. Lucy was no longer waiting for answers, she was driving the discourse. Now, the room held its breath. What insights would be unearthed in response to her daring question? And as she awaited the answer, a seismic realization dawned: this was the evolution of her journey, pulsating with the promise of transformation. The billionaire's eyes glimmered with intrigue as he prepared to respond. "That's a fantastic question," he began, his voice strong yet measured. Lucy leaned closer, the intensity of the moment electrifying her senses. As he spoke, he unraveled his view on the balance of family and ambition, but his perspective pressed against the confines of her expectations. While others around her were nodding in agreement, she began to decipher the nuances of his words. He spoke of sacrifice, of a relentless pursuit of goals at the expense of loved ones, a narrative that felt outdated and one that no longer resonated with Lucy. For years, she had grappled with this duality, yearning for a new story where professional success did not mean abandoning personal fulfillment. Then, as if in a moment of cosmic clarity, she sensed the gravity of her next move. Rather than letting the conversation sway toward customary ideals, Lucy's heart quickened and her pulse raced with determination. She had a chance not only to ask another question but to reshape the dialogue entirely. "Sir, with all due respect," she interjected, "what you describe seems like a choice between two worlds, rather than an integration of both. Is it not possible to redefine success, to create a new narrative where professional growth strengthens personal bonds?" The room was momentarily stunned into silence, a collective pause as her words crashed against the established notion. His expression shifted from confidence to contemplation. She could almost see gears turning in his mind, processing the challenge embedded within her question. It felt exhilarating, a bubbling sense of ownership enveloping her. She realized that she was not merely an audience participant, she was an architect of the conversation, daring to redefine the landscape of ambition alongside vulnerability. The dialogue that ensued became a rich tapestry of debate. Other attendees chimed in, engaged by the provocative exchange. Ideas ricocheted through the conference room, perspectives shifted, revealing hidden biases and assumptions that had long been considered truths. Lucy soaked in the energy of the discussion, feeling empowered by every voice that echoed her sentiments. As the meeting progressed, fragments of insights and shared experiences emerged. Lucy's mind ignited with inspiration. This was a moment of connection, of collective reckoning, reinforced by her audacity to ask and to advocate for a different narrative. The traditional walls separating ambition from caretaker roles felt like they were beginning to disintegrate. Leaving the conference room, Lucy was buzzing with exhilaration. The experience had transformed her sense of identity in an unprecedented way. She felt not only capable but empowered, no longer just navigating expectations but actively reshaping them. Yet looming in the back of her mind was the familiar undercurrent of fear. What if her boldness would have repercussions? Paths forged in audacity might attract scrutiny, the risk of rejection could manifest in unanticipated ways. What if she became the focus of backlash rather than inspiration? As she walked toward her office, her phone buzzed again. Another text from Emily's teacher showed an eagerness to see her at the next meeting. That simple note was more than encouragement, it was a reminder of why she was fighting, of the future she wanted to craft for her daughter. Gazing out of the window, Lucy felt the stirrings of ambition meld with the essence of love. The balance she had strived for now shimmered within reach. Perhaps, against all odds, she could be both. The fears that had previously clouded her vision would be recognized as growth experiences, potential stepping stones. And just as she began to relish this new sense of identity, the door swung open. Her mind raced as she realized a storm brewed just outside her office. She would soon face Jason, whose email had thrust her into this whirlwind. What would he say? Would he challenge her newfound revelations, or could he be swayed by the confidence that now radiated from within her? As her breath deepened, something transformative unfurled inside. She was ready for this confrontation, but deep down, she questioned whether she could sustain this courage or if the weight of the past would pull her back into the shadows of self-doubt. The moments were ticking down, and as Lucy braced for the encounter, she prepared not just for battle but for the potential shift it could create in the very fabric of her journey. What lay ahead could either cement her position in the boardroom or fracture it entirely. Would she emerge triumphant, or would the pressures blur her clarity? The door creaked open, and there stood Jason, a figure of authority and skepticism. He instantly filled the room with a palpable tension, his presence reinforcing the weight of her earlier revelations. Lucy squared her shoulders, unyielding yet acutely aware of the stakes involved in this impending confrontation. This was a moment that could redefine everything. "Lucy," Jason started, his voice tinged with an edge. "What was that back there? Challenging the founder of our company in front of everyone?" As he spoke, Lucy felt her adrenaline spike. She had stood up not just for herself but for every woman and parent who felt they had to mute their ambitions in the name of family. Taking a steadying breath, she focused her thoughts, knowing that this dialogue could either reinforce her newfound confidence or dismantle it completely. "Jason," she countered, "it wasn't a challenge but rather an invitation to a dialogue that we have desperately needed." She felt the words coat her tongue with strength. "We're in a new era where our professional identities must exist alongside our personal lives. We can't submit to an outdated narrative." His brow furrowed, a mixture of intrigue and disbelief crossing his face. "You really believe you can change the conversation around here? That we are in need of a paradigm shift? Why not?" Lucy replied, her voice unwavering. "It's time we adapt and redefine what success looks like. It's about aligning our values with our ambitions. Doing so doesn't compromise one for the other." She watched his expression morph as curiosity began to take root. But beneath Lucy's bravado lay the trembling spirit of uncertainty. What if her own perceptions eroded under scrutiny? What if she repeated the same mistakes of the past, allowing doubt to seat itself once again? She fortified herself against the wave of self-sabotage that threatened to creep in. "Let us face it," she continued, maintaining eye contact, "every time we claim there's a choice between family and career, we diminish both. We're not just cogs in a corporate machine. We are individuals striving for holistic success." Jason's demeanor shifted slightly, betraying the slightest murmur of reconsideration. He leaned back against her desk, a genuine contemplation crossing his features as he weighed her words. This was her chance to disentangle her fears from the equation. "And you think you can lead this change?" he asked, tilting his head, an eyebrow raised. "Yes, I do," she said firmly, feeling the resolve cascade through her. She sensed a defining moment had arrived, a fork in her path that could either build or dismantle her foundation. "Then let us see if you can," Jason challenged, a shift in his tone breaking the tension. "I want you to present this idea at the next board meeting. No holds barred. If your vision resonates, you may just have a chance to redefine our company's culture." She tried to digest the enormity of the moment. An opportunity. Her heart raced with excitement, yet apprehension loomed. It was an exhilarating risk but fraught with the potential for ignominy should her concepts fall flat. She could envision it, a room full of disenfranchised voices, ready to support a transformation. Would they rally behind her vision or retreat to their well-trodden niche? "Yes. I will," Lucy asserted, with a fresh surge of defiance. But beneath the surface nudged the questions lingering in her mind. Would she uncover strengths she didn't know she possessed, or would the fear of failure threaten to shatter her newly found confidence? As Jason stepped out, a sense of clarity washed over her, mixed with formidable dread. The board meeting would not just be about her, it would be a testament of her growth, a moment where her leadership could either bloom or wither. Would she cement her identity or fracture her career right before her eyes? Just then, her phone buzzed again. She glanced down, noting a message from Emily's teacher, one that suggested a forthcoming event to celebrate student achievements. It struck her as another test of balance, demanding more energy and time. Yet, the urgency of the board meeting pressed against her conscience like a heavy weight. Lucy smiled cautiously. This was not just professional, it was personal. Not only would the journey to reshape the corporate perspective influence her career, but it could also ripple into the life she wished to cultivate for Emily. But as the minutes trickled away, Lucy felt the weight of expectation settle on her shoulders. The time had come to face her fears, to confront not only Jason but the deeper, internal battles that raged for dominance. Would she stand firm against her self-doubt, or would she allow it to stifle her ambition? The moment of truth was fast approaching. As Lucy stood before the boardroom of executives, the atmosphere felt charged with anticipation. Her heart raced, a mix of excitement and nerves coursing through her veins. Today was not just any presentation, it was the culmination of her journey over the past several weeks, a journey of self-discovery, growth, and an unwavering commitment to redefine what success meant in both her professional and personal life. The familiar faces of her colleagues stared back, many of whom had initially doubted her ability to contribute. Yet as the meeting began, they seemed different, their postures indicating a willingness to listen. Lucy took a deep breath, centering herself and recalling the essence of her discussion with Jason. This was her moment, and she was ready to claim it. She opened with her story, a story that began as a single mother striving to provide a better future for her daughter, Emily. Her voice flowed steadily, each word infused with a passion that resonated with the collective yearning for change. Family and ambition shouldn't be at odds. Rather, they can propel us forward together, she asserted, her eyes sweeping across the room. As she transitioned into her proposal, outlining an innovative marketing strategy that integrated community engagement with corporate objectives, Lucy felt a palpable shift in energy. Each slide highlighted not just statistics and projections, but the underlying theme of solidarity between personal values and corporate mission. You see, it's not just about driving profits. It's about creating narratives that resonate, stories that uplift our communities, she stated, allowing herself to feel the conviction behind her words. Surges of energy pulsed through her, each point she made weaving together her personal experiences with professional insights. She was no longer just a grocery store clerk trying to fit in, she was Lucy Thompson, a formidable voice for change within this corporate microcosm. As she concluded, a rich silence enveloped the room before applause erupted. The sound surged like a tidal wave, filling her with an exhilaration she had never known. It was the recognition she had yearned for, not just from her colleagues, but from herself. For the first time, she welcomed the acknowledgement of her new identity, one built on the foundations of courage, resilience, and unwavering ambition. But the reflection that washed over Lucy was deeper than just fleeting applause. It wasn't merely about being validated as a marketer, it was about successfully navigating the juxtaposition of being both a mother and a professional with the capacity to do both without sacrificing one for the other. The acceptance felt like armor, equipping her for even greater challenges ahead. As the meeting adjourned, Jason approached her, a newfound respect evident in his eyes. "You've shifted the paradigm, Lucy. This could redefine our approach moving forward," he said, hinting at potential leadership opportunities that could evolve from her presentation. Lucy felt a swell of pride. She had not only proven her capability but also championed the delicate balance she sought to manifest in her life. With the potential to lead initiatives that integrated personal values with corporate culture, she could now work relatability into the fabric of their operations. As she packed up her materials, her phone lit up with notifications. Among them, Emily's teacher had sent an enthusiastic message describing how thrilled all the students were for the upcoming celebration of achievements. This inspired a deep connection within Lucy. The juxtaposition of her corporate success and Emily's budding recognition positioned them both on parallel journeys, a triumphant merging of worlds. Weeks later, Lucy entered the school auditorium, awash with vibrant decorations and the joyous laughter of children celebrating their endeavors. Spotting Emily's bright smile from across the room ignited something deep within her. A satisfied sense of achievement stemmed from knowing she had managed to create a narrative for herself, one where she could be fiercely ambitious while also being a present, nurturing mother. "Mom! You made it!" Emily squealed, rushing into her arms. "Did you hear about the marketing project we're pitching? I thought you might have some cool ideas." "Yes, we can brainstorm together once we get home," Lucy replied, her heart overflowing with pride. Here was the fusion she had fought for, the merging of her personal aspirations with those of her daughter. They were teammates in life's journey, both crafting stories that mattered. With an unwavering confidence, Lucy knew she had not just conquered the professional realm but had also woven a new thread of fulfillment into her very existence. At that moment, standing with Emily against a backdrop of dreams being celebrated, she recognized that true success was not just about individual victories but about staying grounded in relationships that enriched their lives. And as the applause for the students rose again, Lucy felt her heart swell with gratitude. She had achieved what she once deemed impossible, balancing ambition with family, igniting the potential within both herself and her daughter. She had not just transformed her life, she had conquered her self-doubt, revealed her latent strengths, and established a solid position for herself in both her career and her family, paving the way for future successes together. Now, it was time to embark on the next chapter with Emily by her side. You need to subscribe now to witness more transformative narratives and personal achievements that inspire. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and amplify impactful stories. Comment your reactions and theories about Lucy's journey and what you think comes next. Don't wait even one more second to share this emotional conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation.